Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance. I am Becky, and joining me for this episode is Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Becky.
And Leah. Hey, Leah.
Hi there.
So 2023 is coming to an end.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it.
This year flew by.
This year
Yes,
was
it
rough.
did.
It was a rough year.
It was a little bit of a rough year, and we're going to get into that, especially when it comes to reading.
Mm.
So on this episode, we are going to talk about the good and the bad of 2023, some of our hot takes, overall, some of the trends that we hope will stay in 2023, and what we really hope for to happen come 2024. We're going to talk a little bit about some of these viral books that lived up and some that did not. So we're just going to give you all the things tonight. And then the second half of our year-end wrap-up will drop next Sunday, and that will be all of the contributors and our top 3 reads of the year. Yes, I said 3. You all can only pick 3.
I only picked 3.
Did you?
Yeah, I put it on the document today.
Heather today.
Look at that.
Heather today.
I saw that.
Is Heather revolting?
She is. She's
How
like,
many does she have on there?
At least 1 for every month, if not 2.
yeah. She's like, I'm going
I'm
month to
having
month.
a hard time doing
I'm like,
that.
we did month to month last year. We're not doing month to month this year. She's like, yes, we are. We are doing it. I'm like, no, it's your top 3 reads. There's too many of us.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of us, and that would just be a lot. But also, I'm having a hard time with that.
Well, and let's talk about that. Let's get into it, because I have months where there are no books that really hit that month.
I have books that I read every month that came out in that month, but I cannot say it was an excellent read. But I am still like going back and looking through at like a couple books. Like I know they're released and I wanted to read them, but I haven't hit them yet. So I'm like power reading this weekend. Yeah, it's been rough.
So, Amanda, how was your reading 2023?
If it hadn't been for backlist binging, I don't think I would have had a favorite book every month.
Yeah.
It was, I think that's the only thing that saved me this year, because I definitely didn't have a new release every month.
No.
But I don't know. And also, though, too, I didn't go out of my box too much this year and read a lot of new to me people with new releases. I think I did a lot of new to me backlist reads, but I didn't do a lot of new to me new releases.
And we'll talk about new to us authors next week. But
I would definitely say like my reading was flatter this year than it usually is. Like there was variety, but not as much as usual.
I'm really shocked that I hit 300 books and hit my reading goal this year, because had it not been for all these Christmas novellas that we've been reading, I don't think I would have hit it.
Well, you had a couple months where you read like 2 books the whole month.
Yeah.
I mean, I read a decent amount, but I probably reread 60 books this year.
So let's talk backlist reads, because Amanda brought that up. Whose backlist did you deep dive into, Amanda?
Natasha Madison was my big one. She was new to me this year, and I read all of her hockey books, all of her Southern books, one of the Hollywood royalty books. So I think when I looked yesterday, I think it was like I've read 37 of her books this year. So she was my big one. I also read a good substantial amount of Melissa Foster because I was trying to get ready for the Rocked by Love book. So I went back and read like all of the Braden and Montgomerys. And then I did, I think, like all of Marie Johnston's. Like I had a lot.
That's a delightful backlist to have.
I did Jacinda Wilder's Bad series.
Oh, that's a good series too.
I had a lot. I did a lot of like, and then of course Rena Morgan and
You're welcome.
So those are my big ones.
Leah, did you backlist Any authors
Yeah,
this year?
I backlisted Julianne Walker because
Oh,
she's writing in her Black Knights world again. And so I went back and read all of those books. Melissa Foster, I still have not read all of her books. So like I definitely read a couple of I like delved into her backlist because I mean she has what like 140 books or something like that.
Something.
so many.
Like so it's a long con basically with Melissa Foster. Like she's one where I can't read a bunch of them in a row. Like I have to piecemeal her backlist.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just read a lot of older books this year. Like even just like I said, I reread a bunch and then I wouldn't say aside from the Julianne Walker one, like I wouldn't say I backlisted any specific author, but I like authors that I've been reading. Like I kind of just went through books, and if I haven't read their like some of their backlists, then I kind of just dove into them.
So we started the year of 2023. Heather and I were in the midst of mafia romance. Like it was the dark
Yeah.
age for me. And
Yeah.
so I did Zoe Blake's backlist. I did Misha Stone's backlist, BB Hamill's backlist. Some Sadie Kincaid, like Michelle Hurd, was new to me
Mm-hmm.
this year. And again, all mafia backlist. So I did a lot of Jail Beck.
Yeah, we definitely delved into the dark
Yeah.
this year.
Nevaeh Alta, which was new to me this year, but again, it
Well, but
was,
she's newer too. Like I think her first book was only end of like mid to end last
yeah.
year. So,
It wasn't
but yeah,
sad, but my backlist reading was absolutely like
the dark.
the dark and in preparation for episodes. To be
Mm-hmm.
honest, outside of episodes, it wasn't until probably August that I started reading because I was trying to read authors for the HEA Readers event that we went to.
Mm-hmm.
So up and until August, previous to that, it was really stayed in my lane backlist of the Mafia Dark authors. I
Yeah.
didn't really venture outside my box and try some new to me authors until we hit August.
I mean, I'd say a decent amount of the dark that I read this year were new to me, although actually, as I say that, some of them weren't though. But we did find some delightful new
Sadie
authors, which we'll talk
Kincaid,
about.
Zoe Blake. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, come on.
I
Um,
just did Adelaide Forest, so
oh,
she was new to me.
Mm.
I loved
Yeah.
that book one, Bloodied Hands, where he just shows up in bed next to her.
I haven't done that one yet. That's on my list.
That's like one of those like, is that creepy or
But
is
it's
that
one of
swoony?
those red flags in real life, not in my romance moments. Because there are many, many things in my romance books that I'm like, ooh, I love that. But in real life, I'd be like, wow, that is scary as fuck.
Yeah. So we know that Amanda did the Natasha Madison binge.
Mm-hmm.
Leah, did you do any series binges this year? So last year I did a ton of
Mm-mm.
Catherine Cowell, and I have found there are certain authors in the world that I
That we cannot
cannot
binge.
binge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did not do any series binges this year, I don't think, because any series, my internet's being all goofy tonight, sorry. Any series that I have, like I've read them as they came out.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I didn't really have a year of, like I had the summer of Salmon, and last year,
No, you read a lot of Carrie Elks this year.
that was
Yeah.
last year.
Was it last
That
year?
was last year because that was in prep for the Rockstar, and I started Winterville last November.
Well, and Kaylee Ryan you found last year too,
Yeah.
because you had your Ryan and Roundup.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't know that I
you did a Carrie Ann Ryan backlist binge.
I did. I did. But
Oh
I
yeah.
had some of those were rereads for me too.
But
Amanda, have
she
you
also is
stumbled
another
down the
author who has
Carrie
a
Ann
ton.
Ryan?
I did a couple of her Montgomerys, and then I did the first I think 3 or 4 in the Wilder. I have to get back to the Wilder. So it's like she's like, I'll go and hit one of her books like in between other books because
Yeah.
I know they're solid. So
Well, and also with the Wilders, you got to take a break because then you
yeah.
don't know which brother you're talking about
Well,
because
but now
Carrie Ann, again, they all have E's.
the last brother has hit,
Uh-huh.
and now we're moving on to cousins. So
But they have different first initials, I think.
they do.
Because never again, Carrie Ann Ryan. Never again.
So what trends in romance do you want to see happen in 2024? Do you have anything that you really want to see? I love all the mafia. I also am really loving that authors are going back to man covers. Like Melanie Harlow learned her lesson with Runaway Love that she needs man covers.
I don't honestly like with the covers, I don't mind having the option of not the man cover because I understand that some people the man covers are not for everybody. But I like a man cover.
Okay, we're going to
I
get
want
to
to-
those. We're
I
going
want
to
to
get to
go
those
back to
covers
those.
because
Yeah, we have to.
you were not at book.
talk.
Neither one of you were at book club last night, and I was on fire last night.
I was at a
Oh.
party and I was really, really drunk by the end of the night.
I was on
It was
fire
delightful.
last night. Here is, I hope that in 2024, people get enemies to lovers, adversaries to lovers, and rivals to lovers correct. That is my hope.
Also, forced in close
The
proximity.
proximity.
Correct.
Well, that's my hope that we leave in 2023 is the fact that people can't get that fucking shit right.
Because forced, you're fucked, people.
It's not difficult. These are not challenging things.
But clearly it is.
It's a clickbait.
I want the over-troping of books to go away.
I do
I hate the over-trope. Like a romance book needs a trope. Yes, I agree with that. But honestly, you do not need 30 tropes. Like pick a trope and stick to it, friends. Like you can pick 2 different tropes and like the other ones just kind of show up. But do not write to multiple tropes.
Well,
pick one.
and micro
go with
tropes.
it.
So Aaron Nicholas and I, in 2 episodes ago, we talked about micro tropes.
Yes.
And if you haven't listened to that, you should go back and listen to it because Aaron talks about it and what it is used as a building block for a romance story, right? It's those moments that make you swoon.
Yeah.
There are authors, micro tropes are very personal. They are not, there's not like, it's not like friends to lovers. Like that's very clear. This is friends to lovers. This is a roommate romance. Like those are very clear. Microtropes are not going to be clear. They're going to be much more personal. They're going to be much more niche. Authors have to stop using microtropes in their troping and advertising of a book.
Yes, I don't need a 12-word title on Amazon.
We don't. But they do that for searchability. I do understand that.
I get it.
Well, but also Amazon switched the way that authors can pick their categories. And so some authors, so they are guaranteed certain spots. That's why they do it too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it has to do with keyword searching and
and that like the Amazon thing about the categories, like that's an author thing that not a lot of people know about. But yeah, they switched that. So, but yeah, like that's the thing. Microtropes, like a microtrope for one author is not a microtrope for another author. Like it's author to author and like microtropes.
It's reader to reader.
Well,
microtropes are reader to reader because so I love an unlikable heroine. That's a microtrope. There are lots of readers who would prefer not to have a unlikable heroine.
And I love an asshole, but not everybody likes an asshole.
I hate a cinnamon roll, but how many people are like, I love a cinnamon roll.
They love it. Yeah.
And I hate it.
It has to be a really good cinnamon roll for you to like it.
Yeah. And to be honest, you'll be surprised next week with what my top reads are. You'll be surprised because...
Will I though?
You might not. You might not.
The world might be surprised.
The world might be surprised.
I don't think there's anything you do that surprises me at this point. But
I also have decided that I prefer first person point of view.
Yeah.
I can read third person and I really don't typically pay attention. But if I start looking at the books that might have the tropes that I don't love or might have the situations I'm not huge fans of, if they're written in first person point of view and done well, I prefer those over third person.
It
That makes sense.
depends. It depends on the subgenre for me. There are certain subgenres I think delve better into one or the other. Like a rom-com is a much easier read when it's first person point of view than third person. There's just something about third person that I don't like with a rom-com. Not that there aren't great rom-coms in third person, but like the suspense book, the third person doesn't bug me as much because of the way like the story plays out. So for me, like the point of view, it depends on the subgenre.
Do you have point of view preferences, Amanda?
No, not really. I mean, I read third person for such a long time that when I get a book that's third person, like I just read Nora Roberts' new book yesterday, and it doesn't bother me at all to slip into third person versus first. I
Well,
think sometimes that like some people just do it better,
mhm.
honestly. Like it
Well,
depends on who you're reading.
and I think that's the thing too. There are some authors, they only write one style. So it's like if you're reading that author, you know what to expect, you know what you're getting going into. And there's some that like flip back and forth and like one is stronger than the other.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So of course, 2023 was the year of paperback distro contracts. Tons of top Amazon Kindle Unlimited authors got these big paperback distro contracts. I mean, we talk about it almost weekly. We share so and so got a deal, JT Geisinger got a deal. Mariana Zapata, her books are going to TradPub out of KU. We had lots of debut authors that had been querying their book around for a very long time, decided to get a kitschy cover on it, put it out to the world, really pushed into that TikTok, hope for the viral book. And those books got bought up by big publishers. So we saw books like Icebreakers by Hannah Grace, that Collide by Bal. Oh, I forgot her last name now.
Cabra, I think.
Cabra. We saw that. Done and Dusted by Layla
Sage.
Like those are books that were queried to agents and publishers for the last 18 months. And those authors made the choice to go ahead and just publish them. They were in KU and then they got bought up. And I think that is a trend that's going to go into 2024. I don't think that paperback distro or publishing using indie authors in KU as a shopping ground.
Yeah, I don't think that's going anywhere.
Now,
It's too popular.
Have any of your favorite authors gotten picked up like that? I think we're all three in the same boat here on this.
No.
I don't think any of our favorite authors have gotten.
No, and like we know for sure that a couple of our favorite authors have gotten approached and they have not said yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's going away. I can understand the want for it, but I have issues with it. We'll just keep it at that.
So I went on Amazon before we recorded, and according to Amazon, here are some of the top trending viral romances of 2023.
I have not read any of these.
So Lauren Asher's Love Redesign. I do have it on my Kindle because it sounds interesting. It's an architecture billionaire kind of thing, and I'm interested. I did not love her Dreamland series, but I'm willing to give her a try, right? I only tried one of Dreamland. It was not for me. But authors get better with writing, so I'm going to give it a try.
Yeah, 100%.
Lucy Score's Things We Left Behind. And Lucy Score, she and Anna Hong were the top paperback sellers in romance in 2023. And Anna sold.
Not surprised at all.
Now, Anna only had 4 or 5 books in the distro contract.
Yeah.
Lucy had twice as many that she sold to Bloom. Anna sold twice as many as Lucy. She sold over 1.25 million copies of paperbacks this year.
She
It's a lot of
did. She,
paperbacks.
yeah, yeah, her cover change went over really well.
It did go
It
really well.
did. Mhm.
She rolled it out soon enough that readers were aware of it. I know there was, I think some
And
people were
that's where
surprised about Lucy's.
that's the
Yeah.
thing. Anna was very transparent about things that were happening.
Yeah.
And not all of the authors who have had these deals have been transparent about it.
So Lucy Score Things We Left Behind was a top title according to Amazon for romance. Catherine Cowell's Shadow of You was considered
read
a
that one yet.
top title. Forget Me Not.
That's on my list.
It's on my list to read. I haven't read it because I actually have realized that Catherine Cowell is very formula in her writing.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I need to pick them up at random and not in a row.
Yeah. She's a no binge person for us.
I think she and Melanie Harlow are not binge authors.
A.L. Jackson also.
A.L.
Like,
Jackson,
I
yeah, I
love
agree.
Amy's books, but I cannot read multiples in a row for her.
See, and hers I
because-
read as they come out, so I don't
Well,
notice it.
same. But that's the thing. But there's enough of a gap between the books because she writes like 3 or 4 a year. So it's like there's enough of a gap. Like if you read them as they come out, you don't have to binge it because you're excited for the next one. Because yeah.
Forget Me Not by Julie Soto, which that book's a
I
trad
did
pub
read
book.
that.
It's a stupid slow burn. And I don't like how I did read this one. I don't like how it was written. Because you got there before, which was part 1 of the book, and then you got their second chance, which was part 2. And I didn't need all of that. I would have rather spent more time in part 2 and moving forward, and it didn't feel like an HEA. It just felt like an HFN.
I read that
That's-
one too. The slow burn didn't bother me as much, but I think the second part was better than the first part. So
I feel like that's kind of a trend that like I saw a little bit this year though too, like breaking it down into parts like that. You don't need it. Like you can have a prologue that gives like the gist of like what happened in the like beginning and then just dive into the new relationship. You don't need all that extra stuff.
yeah.
Tastes Like Shocker by Nisha Sharma. And then, of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Fourth Wing and Iron Flame.
Mhm.
Those really put Rebecca Yarros on the map. We've been reading her for years.
We have yes.
But the
Oh, I lied. I did
romantasy,
read Fourth Wing too.
the romantasy is taking
is.
off.
It really is. It is taking off fast as well.
I liked Fourth Wing. I have not read Iron Flame, but I did like Fourth Wing a lot. I thought it was good.
So, and then we know that Megan Quinn and Elsie Silver, Sophie Lark, Jennifer Hartman, they all got picked up for distro deals, but they were not considered top viral books on the Amazon for romance.
Really?
Well, Amazon has a whole book talk, like #1 on book talk thing now too.
They do, which
whatever.
whatever.
I mean, good for those authors, but come on, people.
And I think
I
it
read
was
more of those than I thought.
Heartless by Elsie Silver was a trendy book. That was a viral book. And by the time we hit the 3rd book in that series, I was irritated because, and this is the next thing, influencers and spoiling fucking books. Stop it.
I'm done with it. I'm done. It's
Stop it.
actually why I have not read any of that series because it made me grumpy. Because when I know what happens in the end of the book, 2 months before the book comes out, you have ruined the experience for me. And I am a person who does not hate a spoiler. But I want to be the one that asks for the spoilers. I don't want to accidentally come across the spoiler. Like if I'm asking, like there's a reason for it because I need to know, but I don't spoil a book. Just because you were one of the choice few that got the book early, don't be a fuckhead, people.
That's why I stay off TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, the TikTok.
And the other thing that we have noted, and we saw this coming in 2022, many of us in the business saw this coming as issues, the lack of disclosure from influencers as to paid content, because I'm going to be very careful on what we talk about here. So when we left in 2022, I know for Leah and I, and Amanda, you're newer to the podcast, so you might not have felt the same way that we did at the end of 2022. But by the end of 2022, Leah and I were quitting all of our art teams that we were, most of the art teams we were on. We were getting off of influencer teams. We were done
We were like not
placating to
requesting
PR
arts.
firms just because it felt like we were boxed in and we were expected to give all this free labor for a $4.99 book.
Well, but also there was like a handful of influencers and bookstagrammers who would always get the paperbacks and the swag and all this stuff. And it's like, that's great that authors want to do that, but you cannot cater to the bigger influencers and not the little people, because the little people matter too. And it was very disheartening to see the same people open box after box after box. It's like, I don't need the free stuff. Like, that is not the important thing to me. But it's like, I know there are other like influencers out there who are reading the books and talking about it. But I can guarantee 70% of those people getting those boxes were not reading the books.
Well,
Oh yeah,
I want
you can tell.
Yeah. And I want to say that it was at the end of December, the Manhunt book by Vanessa Vale.
Mm-hmm.
Heather and I did a happy hour with her. She was a delight. We read the book. It was great. But then we went, Heather was on TikTok one day shortly after or right before the happy hour. And there was an influencer who was opening her book mail package after package, pulls out that Manhunt book and was like, oh, hey, yeah, this cover's super cute. I think it's even on my Kindle. I might have to read it. And just tosses it on a pile. And Heather's like, what the hell? I read the book. I reviewed it in 3 places. And then we did an event for the author. Like, and that influencer's just going to toss it on a pile.
And say like, maybe I'll read this.
Yeah.
Maybe. Not even I'm going to read this. Maybe I'll read this.
And it started to feel like authors lacked gratitude. And I'm not saying I need them in my DMs telling me how grateful they are for my review, because my reviews are not for them.
Right.
But, you know, when you're sending me reminder after reminder telling me that I need to do 1 promo video a day to count down your new release, no, I don't. You're giving me nothing but an ebook. Like, if I get a paperback in the mail, I typically do an unboxing. I will take a picture. I'll put up a video. But I don't, and I'll read the book and I review the book.
Yeah.
But I don't owe you like 17 videos.
Well, I don't have the time for that shit.
Well, no, none of us have the time for that. So as we were coming into 2023, we had really stepped away from ARCs.
Yeah.
And then there was kind of some blow up this summer with influencers and lack of disclosure as to being paid for their content.
Yes.
And it was bad.
It was real bad.
It was very bad. And I'm not on TikTok, and I know it was bad.
Yeah. It made us all look bad. Because of that, it was started, the lack of disclosure was started because one TikToker and one author, Emily Rath and Kiara Lewis, went too far in sexualizing of a real person. Yeah. A hockey player on the Seattle Kraken. And it was horrible. His wife asked them to stop. And they didn't. They didn't stop. They kept doing it.
And then they got mad at her for like having an opinion about the fact that they were doing this. And it's like, yes, the Kraken leaned into the book talk, but they kept it professional. They kept it to a level that like made sense. And it's like, we as human beings have to remember these are real people with real families, and there is stuff and limits that you do not cross.
Right. Well, and accept your own responsibility for it. You know, we know that Emily Rath didn't. She said, oh, I told everyone to slow down. No, you didn't, sister.
No.
Because we saw the stitches. You cleaned your social media, but it went out into the mass market media.
Yeah.
You know, we were on ESPN as book talk creepers.
There's major articles too.
Yeah, Rolling Stones. It was everywhere. The New York Post. And it was like, romance readers already have a bad rap. I saw a post today from one of the publishers of 1001 Dark Nights and Blue Box Press that she got cornered at a Christmas party last night where someone was railing about all the horrors of romance and how it's wrong to give it to girls. And that's a discussion for a different day. Oh, it's a discussion for a different day, people, and we'll get there. But we already get a bad rap, right? Mommy porn, smut, whatever you want to call it.
It's one of the highest grossing publishing industries in the world.
Yeah.
$1 billion industry.
But then we also have things like what Ivy Smoke did with her Taylor Swift, Travis
Kelce
fanfic that she wrote
really
in 3 days and she put up. And
yeah, that was real bad.
Holy crap, that looks bad. So, and I do think that we need to see more accountability.
Yeah.
Of authors when you screw up like that. Trelina Puccini, I can't believe people are still reading her after she trolled an author. Authors do not own subgenres. Authors do not own tropes. They do not own the color of a cover.
They do not own the title of a cover because, ironically, people did searches and how many of books had that exact same title?
Yeah.
They came out before hers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And boy, was Ava Ashwood was so stupid smart. She let her dig her grave and knew that something was going to happen because she was leaving all these trolling comments on her post. She blocked her so that Trelina could not go in and delete her comments. So, but there does need to be accountability from authors for those behaviors.
But it's also like, you are a grown-up. Act like a grown-up. Also,
obviously she's not.
Do you not have a friend who says you shouldn't do this? Like, we know we've talked about this. Becky will sometimes like go off the handle, but she always checks in. She has there's a layer by layers.
There is
and until somebody says yes.
Typically I start with Leah. I'll be like, hey, how out of pocket is this for me to say that? And she'll be like, maybe
not.
And then I'll go to Mike and say, okay, how out of pocket am I to say this? And then he'll be like, whoa, sister, you need to slow your roll. But
and it depends on the type of pants we're wearing for the day.
And then I tend to go back to Leah so that Leah will back me up. And then I can be like, but Mike, Leah says I should do it. And then I'm okay. I manipulate the systems.
But sometimes, like, as I've thought about it, I'm like, ooh, this is not a good idea. No. So I do change my mind sometimes.
You do change your mind sometimes.
But not always.
But
we have a checks and balance system.
Everyone should. Yes, everyone should.
They should. I mean, we say all sorts of out-of-pocket crap in our text messages to each other.
We do.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes it's 157 messages in 6 hours.
Don't ever fall asleep early, people.
Just don't. It's not worth it.
Or sleep late.
Yeah, because then you have to catch back up and you're like replying and it throws off the next
or go to 70.
Work,
you know.
Oh, I know. Like, heaven help, we have a job and can't reply. Like, as the phone is dinging behind me. When it starts going off like crazy, I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what's going on right now.
So one of the trends, if you were at book club last night as we're recording this, you know that I gave you my new mantra. On any cover reveal in 2024 that is an illustrated cover.
Oh, it needs a face.
Without eyes, nose, or a mouth. I am going to reply. I'm going to comment on every post that says, how much are eyes?
Yeah.
I'm going to pay an extra 50 cents for that title if you give me eyes.
Why? Why do they not have eyes?
I'm going to get blocked so much this year.
Or mouths. Like, I don't hate the vector covers, but have a fucking face, people.
The blobs. And also, if you put glasses on somebody, but they don't have a nose, how do the glasses stay on their face?
Well, but if they don't have eyes, why do they need the glasses?
Yeah,
Amanda's trying to figure out how she can separate from my social media so she doesn't.
No. I'm because I agree,
also,
and I'm trying. There are some authors that I love that put some questionable covers out, and it makes me upset.
But also, there are different shades of white. So, like, if you write white characters, Like there's
Right.
three of us here, and all three of us are different shades.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And
We're
that
very,
was,
very white,
it was
but
very
different levels of
noticeable.
white.
And I think it's Stacey Hart that did Kim Lorraine's new
Hmm.
cowboy covers. And actually, so Stacey Hart on her social media gave a snapshot of what her starting charges are for illustrated covers.
Yeah.
And honestly, it took all of my grown-upness not to comment how much for noses, mouths, and eyes. Because even on her own character art, the person had no eyes, nose, or mouth. And she does her own work for free to herself. So can I pay $5 for you to give yourself some eyes? Because, sister, I will. I will. But Kim Lorraine redid her cowboy covers,
Hmm.
and they're all the same pasty pale peach.
Yeah. It's all the exact same shade.
Yeah. It was,
I mean,
Yeah.
I like the
They creep me
background
out.
covers. Well, that's the thing. They're super
They creep me
creepy.
out.
It's like that movie. I don't remember what it is still, but it's that movie where it's just like no face.
everybody's
It's a
face
horror
is
movie.
melting.
No, it wasn't melting. There was a reason that didn't have any eyes or a nose or a mouth, but I can't remember. It was an 80s
Oh,
movie.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Is it Hellraiser?
It might
No,
be.
I think so.
We'll have to
Maybe.
look it up. Every time I talk about it, I like think I'm gonna look it up and then I forget until we talk about it again.
So
I'll write it down.
one of the big trends we saw in 2023 was people acting like hockey romance was brand spanking fucking new.
Nope. No friends, it was not.
It was not. We did a whole episode to tell you hockey series you should go back and authors you should go back and check out. But
It's been around for a really long time.
what was new this year in hockey was the why choose in hockey.
Hmm.
But can I ask a question?
What's up?
Why aren't we seeing why choose football romances? Why aren't we seeing why choose soccer romances? Why aren't we seeing why choose basketball romances? Why
Because
aren't we?
hockey is the trend and people write to trend.
I have to agree with Jen Ellen on this comment, and Amanda, I'm going to
Yep.
ask you your thoughts. It's because hockey is white.
Primarily white.
There are very few people of color in hockey.
It's true.
So to
It
write
is true.
football, you'd have to write people of color. To write basketball, it's people of color.
Well, even baseball, there's a lot of people of color too.
Yep.
It's definitely more
Yeah, why isn't baseball why
diverse.
choose?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Lindsay, you could write it.
Well, here's my other thought is if you are only going to write hockey why choose romance, give me monsters. I'm looking at you,
'Cause
Monster
you like
Pucker.
you like a Yeti.
I'm in love with
I
a
mean,
Yeti.
that would probably get me to read it because I'm not a why choose person, but I might do it with monsters.
I'm telling you, Monster Pucker.
I don't mind them, but I have like a limit of dicks. There's a
And I'm
dick.
okay with scenes. I just don't like the HEA to be more than two entities.
I can handle three.
I love a
Three works
throuple.
for me. When we start getting past three, it feels more of an HFN than an HEA.
I do love a
The,
throuple.
the only reason and it's not anything, it's just like, I don't want to share. I don't want somebody to want to share me. Like
Yeah.
that's where my whole hang up comes.
That's
I think.
fair.
If you get the right author though,
Maybe.
they're both really possessive, except when it comes to that other like person of like the triad. So if you get the right story, it works really well. Because I have read thruples that I don't like and I don't believe them. But like Lexi Blake writes a great thruple.
Shayla Black writes a great
Shayla Wright.
throuple.
Well, I mean, right there, the two of them. I mean,
Oh,
Sawyer
yeah.
Bennett has a couple thruples.
she does.
But well, yeah, I didn't read the ones where they end up together. I read the ones where there are scenes, but I
Yeah.
haven't gotten to the other ones yet.
Well, and Elle Kennedy has a couple thruples in her like Navy,
Oh yeah, her
like her
military
older,
series.
the military series. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and those ones, I believe Swords Cross as well. So
I mean, I do like a good sword crossing.
Heather or
Carrie
Katie
Ann
Robert.
Ryan writes really great
Oh,
thruples.
yeah.
She
And
writes a good.
so does Mary Carr. And not always do their swords cross, but sometimes they do. Like Carrie Ann's the last one in the
Wilders.
Wilder, swords cross. It was freaking spicy.
Mm.
And Mary Carr, not the one we just did, the naughty nice one. They had one where the one guy was bisexual. In the actual book, they aren't really, no swords cross in that book. But in the book after, they talk about how they have started to explore being more. Because in that
I know
book,
which one you mean, but I can't think of the title.
because in that book, the swords do cross. Okay. Did you read a viral title and it lived up to the hype for you? And this doesn't have to be like one that was brand new this year, but it could be a last year brand new title.
I don't think
Because
I did,
like
to be honest.
Maria Lewis, her Hold Me Today went viral. Natasha Madison's some of the somethings went viral this year.
Yeah, I mean,
does
obviously,
it count
I read
if
all
I've
the
read
Natasha
them
Madison.
before?
No, you had to pick them up this year.
Well, then no, because
I did Hold
Maria's
Me
book,
Today this year.
isn't it wonderful?
I did. I really loved it. Like that was one of my top reads the month
Everybody
that I read
should
it.
read that
So
book. If you haven't read it, like that's one of the books that I was really happy went viral this year because I have been saying for years how good that story is. And like Maria like needs that like I was just so happy that that one went viral because she is
no,
a
I
delightful human
really,
being.
yeah, I really loved that one. That was, like I said, it was one of my, I think it was sometime in the summer, but
Yeah.
it was one of my top reads this year.
I
So
think Lauren Blakely's The Tryst, it went it went viral and I really did like that book. I also liked the RSVP.
Oh, the RSVP was really good.
So I did really like those virals from her, and her White Shoes Hockey was okay.
Well, and she's an author that I used to read and then I had stopped for a while, but I went back to.
So I asked the community what books for them lived up to the hype. And so we had Before I Let It Go by Kennedy Ryan, Unhinged by Vera Valentine, that absolutely lived up to the hype, and the audiobook, phenomenal. In a Jam by Kate Canterbury, and Madam by Sarah Kate, that was another one. It was male, female, female, and it was spicy and very well done. And then That One Regret by Carrie Elks was another one that kind of got hyped up, that was a very good book. Age Gap, Meet Cute, Forbidden, Taboo, fantastic.
Wait, that's the one when are they step?
They are step cousins.
I was thinking step siblings because I read a lot of those this year, but then I was like,
how many
no,
breeding kink books did you read this year, Leah?
A decent amount. I do like my breeding kinks.
Yeah.
I don't even notice like sometimes when I read them. Like I'm really
you would
bad about
know.
it. I mean,
No,
you know,
the
but
ones that I read, you would
well,
know.
yeah, probably.
Because they're
But some
shoving
I'll think
shit
about
up.
after.
Well, they're shoving it back up there, but they like talk about it like the whole time, like they're in the moment. Like I can't, like, yeah.
Leah's
I mean, and
dirty,
I'll go back and I'll
dirty
be
girl.
like, oh, that was, and I
And
don't
if Wander
like
is
mark
on the
it.
cover of the breeding kink book, it's even better.
Can we talk about Vicious Vow by Sarah Bale?
That was it's a little unhinged, but it's so good.
It's a lot unhinged.
He doesn't have a breeding kink in that one though.
Yeah, he does.
Does he?
Yeah, and he's obsessed with her boobs.
Oh yeah, he is. Well, but it's not like the milking one before that. Devious Deals, he has a milking kink.
Again, not sad about that either.
No, it worked really
So
well.
funny.
I didn't love that one as much though. Out of the 4 of that series, Devious Deals was my least favorite. I did really like the duet, and we all know how I feel about duets.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you haven't read the Bale's Villainous Tales stuff yet, like you need to. They're a little bonkers, but they're fairy tales in like Disney movies taken a sharp left.
And upside down.
A very sharp left. But they are so good and so well done. And Sarah Bale like creates these amazing worlds and characters that like you want to hate them, but you can't help but love them at the same time.
They're bonkers, but they're delightful.
They are delightful.
Amanda's over there like, what is wrong with these two?
She has been around us long enough that
I'll
she
read it.
knows.
I'll read it. I just haven't gotten there yet.
They're so
Merritt got really grumpy about the duet, so you got to just power through.
If they're both out, I'm fine with that.
They're both out, but she got real mad, so I don't know if she ended up finishing it. She got mad at me about it too.
Oops.
I didn't. So on that one, I read the first book and never went back and read the second book.
You psycho, you.
But I believe they're in an HEA. It's fine. But then I read the third book and I read that fourth book, and it's some bonkersness.
But yeah, I do. I don't know what it is about the Breeding King books that I really enjoy. I don't know why.
Confessions with Leah.
Again, this is one of those red flags in romance that is not a red flag in real life. That is not a red flag in my romance.
If you had told me at the start of 2023 that some of my top reads would be about a door that shifts to a man,
this is true,
or a Yeti with peppermint flavored cum, I'd have told you you're fucking nuts, because I don't read those kinds of books.
Well, 2023 was a wild ride.
Well, and it's going to keep being wild, because we are going to delve more into aliens and monsters and stuff in 2024.
Oh my. Aliens, monsters, and shifters, oh my.
Yeah.
We're not going to follow the yellow brick road, though.
No.
I mean,
no, we're not.
Seriously, that Easter Bunny Planet Oster, like...
I know you do. You do keep talking about that.
Pastel cum, that was genius.
That's so funny.
My thing is, I just love the fact that like authors are taking these ridiculous risks in their books, and they're actually working really well.
Yeah, I agree. I read that Shifter Gargoyle book, and it was one of Katie. I made Katie read it. It was one of Titan by Gillian Graves. It was one of her favorite reads.
I want to read that one.
It's really good.
There's just such a want for them now, and I think that's the big thing too. It's like in the romance genre, like it's no holds bar at this point.
Yeah,
you can do what you want, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And
I think Ruby Dixon with the Ice Planet Barbarians really opened up the bringing the monsters mainstream.
Well, and also the fact that they went more mainstream this year, like the fact that people were not shying away from them anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
any other 2023 topics you need to talk about?
I don't think so.
I don't know what I did with it.
Do you have any big thoughts on any books that you hope die on the vine in 2023? And
die on the vine.
And don't come back in 2024? I think poorly written books going to TradPub would be my first thought. Let's fill the plot holes.
The long book. Like, you do not need to write a 500-page book. Like, you can get everything you want in a book that's very, like, clean and concise in 250 to 300 pages.
Yeah,
you don't
I agree.
need a 500-page book.
Unless you're building a fantasy world. Yeah, I don't think you need it.
And
it's
not every book has to be a duet. Like, if it lends to that, then that's fine. But don't force a duet, because there is nothing worse than like a really strong book 1 and a really crappy book 2.
Yeah,
I agree. Or a trilogy. We don't need a trilogy every time, because book 2 is 9 times out of 10 useless.
Except Amanda and I are in the process of reading a trilogy for our read-along quick shot, and the first 47% of the book is nothing but sex.
Yeah, but
I'm not there yet, because you told me you were going to move it back, and I was like, I'm going to wait.
Okay.
But that's the thing. Like, there are sometimes that trilogies and duets like are needed, but it's not all the time. We do not need 500 pages. We do not need every book to be a trilogy or a duet. Like, you can give me a great concise book in 250 pages.
I just wish authors who are writing small town romances who want to drop a sports star in their books will stop using hockey heroes.
Well, yeah, because there are more sports.
Particularly if it's like small town Tennessee. Are there a lot of hockey? Is there a lot of hockey in Tennessee in small towns?
They have the Predators. Yeah, so they do have a...
Okay, but where you grew up in small town Tennessee, was there a hockey program?
Well, when I grew up, we didn't have the Predators, but there is now.
There is now.
So, and my parents live about an hour and a half away from Nashville.
Okay.
So there is.
Okay.
There is now.
Because I'm
when
like,
she was growing up.
No, but that's because
we are aging ourselves.
Well, okay. So that's what we've got for hot takes of 2023. Make sure you stick around, because 2024, it's going to be wild.
We are going unhinged in 2024.
We
We give
are.
0 fucks anymore.
But there's also some excitement coming in 2024. So make sure you are following us on social media so you can learn about all the fun things coming to Buzzing About Romance in 2024. Guess what time it is?
It's that time for book
Of
the
the week. It's book of the week time. And Leah, you're up first.
Okay, so I read Tapped by Bryn Asher. It's book 2 of her Agent series. It came out a couple months ago, and I did not have time to read it. And it has been sitting on my Kindle forever. So Micah is kind of a jerk, kind of an asshole, but it's delightful. He's a delightful asshole because that's my like new thing. But it's very good, and I mean I love Bryn's books, so it was a guaranteed like for me. But
Is that one long too? Because I know the first one was long.
I think it. Yeah,
Okay.
she honestly like she even says she's like I'm gonna write 110,000 word book. Yeah, it never happens. She has like this sweet spot, or maybe it's like 100,000. She's always in like the 110s, 120s. Like she has this sweet spot where all of her books are about the same length, but they're not overly written, which is one of the things I like about her books. But yeah.
Amanda, what's your book of the week?
Okay, I had like a really good reading week, so I had to think
nice.
about it. It was a good one. I had an arc of The Shake Off by Lulu Moore. It's the second in her New York Lions series, baseball. And it's Ace's book, and it's actually it's an age gap, but she's older.
Oh, I like
so
that.
And he's like a 23-year-old. He is seriously like a frat boy puppy. And it's a lot of fun. So I had that one was really good. So it should be out by the time this episode releases, but I really liked it.
Puppy.
I really liked it. So it was a lot of fun.
Okay, so my book of the week is Matching All the Way by Veronica Eden. It is book 2 in her Heston U series, but it actually takes place before Iced Out because it's the coach and the coach's daughter. It's one of the assistant coaches and the coach's daughter.
Is that one a novella?
Or it is not. It's like 357 pages. It's a full story.
Nice.
And I'm super excited I started it today, and I'm super excited to finish that out.
I think Danielle really liked that one. I think she was talking about it.
Yeah. I really like Veronica Eden, and I think that if you are a fan of Elle Kennedy and love what she did with the Off-Campus series, you are missing with Veronica Eden. The only thing I will say that's a little frustrating with Veronica Eden is she's a very slow writer. So I think it would be...
If that's the worst part of it.
I just think it will be harder for her to get the...
traction,
the screaming fandom kind of thing like Elle has, because she writes very slow. But other than that, Matching All the Way is absolutely worth a read. So Patreon update, swag packs are out in the wild. Huge thank you to sponsoring author for December, who are Jill Ramsauer and Golden Angel. So I'm going to give some favorite reads from those authors from me. If you have one, feel free to pipe up. I really like Golden Angel. So I actually really love her historical stuff. The Season for Treason series, I guess book 1 is A Season for Treason. Deception and Discipline is book 2. Is the series. It's a bunch of wallflowers, which would have been blue stocking, that becomes a network of spies that are feeding information to the war. But they also is a lot of spanking.
She likes a good spanking.
She does.
She has like a Second Chance BDSM series. Like the characters are older. I can't think of what the series is.
Is that the Daddy Dom series?
The Daddy Dom series. Yeah. I really like that one. She does a lot of Doms and Daddies as well.
Yeah.
Both of those sound really good. I haven't read her yet.
I really like her.
She has a really wide variety of tropes and options. Like she has the historical, she has the BDSM, she has like the in-between stuff. And that's one thing I really like about her books is she has a book for everybody.
Yeah, Dungeon Master, which is a hot later in life romance.
Mm-hmm.
That's book 1 in the Dungeons and Doms series. And she has quite a bit of femdom romances, which
Mm-hmm.
we don't get a ton of, and I really like her femdoms. Her femdoms are probably some of my favorites in from her. Okay, Jill Ramsauer, Silent Vows. If you haven't read it, read it.
Corrupted Union, the meet cute with a knife. Like,
I mean,
delightful.
right?
Yeah, she's like mafia light, but delightful.
I agree. So swag packs go out to Fancy Drink, Cold Brew, and Queen Bee tier. We still have fun buzzing about romance exclusive stickers, mood reading cards, and other fun things. These are mailed monthly around the 10th of the month, and we do ship internationally. These perks get mailed only once a month, and if you join after the 10th of the month, your swag pack will be mailed the following month. We also have Coffee of the Month Club, where monthly I send you a half a pound of small batch locally roasted coffee. And if you stick on that tier for 6 months, you then get exclusive Buzzing About Romance coffee mugs. So there's lots of cool things happening over on Patreon. We do things like Should You Read It and Buzzing After Darks. So make sure you check out our Patreon, and you can free follow, and you will get notices of things that are happening. So anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out tonight.
It's always a good time.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Until next time, everyone.
Happy reading, everybody.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.